Have you ever wondered why your eyes catch certain things that others seem to pass by without a second thought? Why that number keeps reappearing? Why a specific song plays just when you need it most? Or why you look up and the clouds have formed the exact shape that resonates with your soul? This video is for those who keep noticing the signs, those subtle, mysterious signals that seem to speak directly to you. And yet, no one else seems to notice. You're not imagining it. You're not overthinking. You're tuning in to something real, something powerful. You're seeing what others are still blind to. This is not a coincidence. It is a calling. So stay with us until the very end. There is something in this message that your soul has been waiting to hear. Let your energy align with this moment. If you feel this message in your heart, share your warmest wishes in the comments and write 77 to activate your connection to the universe. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and this is a chapter about wishes coming true and energizing the universe. But that is just the beginning. What follows is a deeper exploration into why you are seeing these signs and why they are speaking only to you. You are more sensitive to the flow of reality than most people around you. Not because you're broken, not because you're lost, but because you're awake. The world is constantly speaking, whispering through nature, numbers, repetition, symbols, dreams, and coincidences. But to hear it, to truly feel it, you have to be open. You have to be willing to look beyond the surface. You have to feel the silent conversation happening all around you. You've done that. That's why you're here. That's why signs follow you. Because your spirit has remembered something others have forgotten. Most people are too busy, too distracted, too invested in the physical to notice the language of the spiritual. The signs are there for them too, but they miss them. But you're being led. The signs are a roadmap designed to guide you through decisions, awakenings, transformations. They're not random. They're placed with precision, like clues in a sacred treasure hunt. You were never meant to follow the crowd. That's why the universe gave you different glasses. You see the sparks where others only see darkness. You feel the shift in the air before change arrives. You recognize patterns that others think are chaos, because they were never random for you. There is a purpose to this noticing. It's not meant to confuse you. It's meant to confirm that you're on the path. Your path. Think of it this way. If you're climbing a mountain, there must be trail markers along the way. The signs are your trail markers. Sometimes they're gentle, like a feather on the ground. Sometimes they're loud, like a repeated dream that wakes you up with a start. Sometimes they're perfectly timed, like a stranger saying the exact words your heart needed. These aren't coincidences, they're codes, and you're decoding them, even if you don't always understand their full meaning. In the moment, you're not crazy, you're not imagining things, and you're definitely not alone. So many people have learned to ignore their inner knowing. They've been told to value logic over intuition, but you've kept your inner compass alive. You've trusted the nudge, followed the goosebumps, paid attention to the repeated numbers. That's sacred work. It may seem small to others, but it's deeply powerful. It means you're working with the universe instead of resisting it. Every sign you see is a whisper from the divine, a signal from the unseen, a pulse from the fabric of the universe saying, yes, this way. And sometimes it's not about action. Sometimes it's just about awareness, being still enough to witness the language of existence. The more you notice, the more signs will come. It's like tuning into a frequency. The clearer your signal, the more music you'll hear. The more you trust, the more you'll be shown. People may not understand this path. They may not see what you see. They may roll their eyes, dismiss your instincts, mock your visions. Let them. Their path is theirs. Yours is sacred. Sacred doesn't always mean loud. Sometimes it means quiet knowing, inner certainty, peace in the unseen. You are not here to convince others. You are here to walk awake, and the signs are your companions on that journey. There's a beautiful truth behind all of this. The universe wants to talk to you. It wants to co-create with you. That's why you're seeing these things. You're being invited into partnership, into alignment. You're not being tested. You're being tuned. The more you respond to the signs with presence and trust, the more clarity you'll receive. Not always instantly, but always exactly when you need it most. This noticing, this sensitivity, is not weakness. It's power. Quiet power. Deep, resonant power. It means you're anchored in more than the visible. It means you're in sync with the rhythm that underlies everything. Birds flying in the same direction. The flicker of a light when you think of someone. The numbers repeating every time you glance at the clock. These are all notes in the same symphony. The universe speaks in symbols. You've just learned the language. And perhaps the most important truth is this. You were meant to notice. You were chosen to see. And not just to see, but to trust what you see. To believe in what others ignore. That's your gift. It's your magic. It's what sets you apart. Not in a way that makes you better, but in a way that makes you responsible. Because when you notice the signs, you become the bridge between the seen and the unseen. You become the vessel for insight, for comfort, for guidance, for yourself and for others. You were never meant to live a normal life. You were meant to live a noticing life, a life led by wonder, a life lit by synchronicity, a life wrapped in connection to something greater than yourself. That's what the signs are doing. They are pulling you deeper into your divine identity. You didn't imagine them. You manifested them. You didn't stumble across them. You were invited to see them. And now that you've noticed, there's no going back. Not because it's scary, but because it's sacred. Once you begin to walk with the signs, the world transforms. The veil lifts. What was once ordinary becomes holy. A street corner, a stranger's words, a song on the radio, all become vessels of message and meaning. You are not lost. You are being guided. Every time, every step. You just have to keep paying attention. It's important to understand that noticing the signs is not simply about superstition or spiritual entertainment. It's about perception, alignment, and preparation. The signs that come into your life are not random decorations. They are functional messengers. When you notice something repeatedly, especially when it feels charged with meaning, that's the universe reaching out. That's your higher self nudging you. That's a convergence of energies coming together to say, you're exactly where you need to be. Don't stop now. You have become someone who walks between the layers of reality. While others are caught in the surface of things, you are listening to the deeper rhythm beneath the noise. That's why your journey may sometimes feel lonely or strange, because you're hearing a call that isn't audible to everyone. But that's also why it's so rewarding, because when a sign shows up, it feels like the universe is reminding you, you are seen, you are known, you are supported. Have you ever had a moment where the world seemed to pause and something inside you whispered, pay attention now? That's what these signs are made of. Those moments where time feels different, where something clicks into place, where a small symbol carries a massive weight. That's the magic you're living in, even if others can't recognize it. And it takes courage to keep listening to that kind of magic when the world demands proof. But you were never built to live in denial of your deeper senses. You were made to trust your intuition, to feel what's true even when it can't be explained. You were made to walk by energy, not just by sight. And that's what the signs are teaching you. How to follow flow instead of force. How to lean into resonance instead of resistance. How to be moved by guidance, not by pressure. Some signs will feel obvious. Others will unfold slowly, their meaning becoming clear only in hindsight. But all of them matter. All of them serve a purpose. Every repeated number, every unexpected encounter, every dream that wakes you up at just the right moment. They are threads weaving your personal myth. This is the path of the awakened, the path of the intuitive, the path of the chosen observer. And make no mistake, being chosen to notice comes with responsibility. Not pressure, but responsibility. The signs you see aren't just for your entertainment. They are invitations to act, to pause, to release, to speak, to shift. Each one carries a message not only for your own soul, but often for others too. You may be the only person in someone else's life who can recognize the hidden meaning in a situation. That's why the universe entrusts you with signs. You have likely already noticed that when you ignore a sign, things feel off. A restlessness grows. You feel like you've stepped out of alignment. That's not punishment. That's feedback. That's your inner system letting you know that the compass has shifted and you're being asked to recenter. When you follow the signs, you feel clarity, even if it doesn't always make immediate sense. Because your spirit knows the map, even when your mind doesn't. That's why sometimes signs will come in clusters, the same number showing up again and again, the same word or phrase crossing your path from different sources. It's not a glitch, it's emphasis, the universe repeating itself until you slow down enough to understand. That's not a burden, that's grace, that's patience from the divine. You're not being rushed, you're being reminded. Noticing signs is also a mark of spiritual maturity. It means you're no longer asking for loud miracles to prove what you already know in your soul. You're finding power in the subtle. You're learning to interpret life through the eyes of synchronicity. And that's a sign in itself that you're evolving, transforming, stepping into deeper awareness. As you evolve, the signs may shift. What once came as repeating numbers may start to arrive through dreams. What once appeared as coincidences may now take the form of intuitive messages in meditation. That's because the universe speaks to you in the language you're most ready to receive. And the more fluent you become in this language, the more refined the messages become. It's not about tricks or tests, it's about tuning in and growing closer to the source that's been speaking to you all along. There may also be times when the signs stop for a while, when silence replaces the synchronicities. Don't panic when that happens. That's not abandonment, it's integration. Sometimes, after you've received many messages, the universe pauses to give you time to process and act. Silence can be sacred. And in those quiet times, your trust is deepened. Because even when signs are absent, the connection remains, and in truth, the signs never truly stop. They just become subtler, softer, more embedded in your daily life, like the way your energy shifts in certain spaces, the way you feel drawn to certain people or ideas, the way something just doesn't sit right in your spirit. These are all signs too. They are part of the same flow, just expressed through your emotional and energetic landscape. Over time, noticing signs becomes second nature, not because you're searching desperately, but because you've trained your perception. It becomes part of who you are. You don't chase signs anymore. They come to you because you've become the kind of person who listens, who pays attention, who honors the message, and that's powerful. You are becoming a living bridge between the physical and the spiritual, between the noise of the world and the silence of the soul, between the seen and the unseen. And the more you walk that bridge, the more others will sense something different in you. They may not know what it is, but they will feel it. They will be drawn to your calm, your insight, your presence. That's the quiet radiance of someone who follows the signs. And this is only the beginning. You've probably realized by now, your awareness isn't a coincidence. It's a calling, one that didn't just start yesterday. You've likely been noticing things since you were young. The way the wind would whisper in the trees at just the right moment. The way a stranger's words would strike something deep inside you. The way you would sense things before they happened, or feel energies that no one else seemed to notice. All of that was preparation. You were being trained by life, by the universe, by your own soul, to become a perceiver of the hidden. And the more you leaned into it, the more the signs came alive. You stopped brushing things off as mere chance. You started listening with your heart instead of your logic. And that's when it all began to shift. That's when the veil thinned. Because the universe doesn't waste revelation on the uninterested. But when it senses that you're ready, it responds with extraordinary intimacy. Still, there's a tension in being someone who sees what others don't. Sometimes you might feel crazy. You might question yourself. Am I imagining this? Is this real? But those doubts are not a sign of delusion. They're a sign of depth. They show that you care enough to question, to discern, to walk carefully. They show that you honor the mystery instead of treating it like a game. And that humility is part of what keeps you aligned. Not everyone around you will understand your awareness. Some may dismiss it. Some may even mock it. But you must remember, they are not blind. They are just unawakened. And it's not your job to drag them into the light. It's your job to walk steadily in it yourself. Because when your life begins to reflect the beauty and wisdom of the signs you follow, some of those same people will come to you. Not with ridicule, but with curiosity. They'll ask, "How did you know? Why did you choose that path?" And you'll be able to say, with quiet confidence, "I listened." Listening is the key. It's not about obsessing over signs or constantly needing answers. It's about being present, being still, being open. When your mind is loud, the signs get blurry. But when your spirit is calm, everything sharpens. The right symbols stand out. The right patterns repeat. The right paths reveal themselves. This is why silence, rest, and self-connection are sacred tools for the awakened. Because your inner stillness is what tunes your outer perception. It's also worth knowing that the signs aren't always there to affirm your choices. Sometimes they arrive to challenge you, to disrupt, to reroute. And those signs are just as loving, sometimes even more so, because they come not to flatter your ego, but to protect your destiny. That dream that keeps getting delayed, that relationship that never seems to settle, that door that refuses to open, those could all be signs too, not of failure, but of redirection, of divine interference, of grace disguised as frustration. It's uncomfortable, yes, but this path isn't about comfort, it's about clarity, and clarity often comes through contrast. When things don't work, you're being shown what doesn't resonate, what's not for you. That's information, that's guidance, That's a sign. And the more you trust those signs, especially when they're inconvenient, the more your life aligns with what's real, what's right, what's meant. In fact, the signs you resist often hold the most transformative energy, the ones that scare you a little, the ones that ask you to leave something behind, the ones that stretch your identity. Those are initiations. They're not asking for passive acknowledgement. They're asking for movement, for trust, for obedience to something higher than your comfort zone. And when you say yes to those signs, your entire frequency changes. You begin to realize that signs don't come to lead you to something external. They come to lead you deeper into yourself, deeper into alignment with your truth, your purpose, your essence. That's why you keep seeing them. They are maps leading you home. And once you know that, you stop needing to explain them to others. You stop seeking approval. You stop second-guessing. Because the signs are not there to convince the world. They are there to guide you, to nourish you, to prepare you for what's coming, for who you're becoming, for the role you're meant to play in this shifting world. You are not crazy for seeing. You are not weird for feeling. You are simply awake in a world that prefers sleep. And that's a gift, a responsibility, a sacred assignment. So keep noticing, keep honoring, keep moving with the flow of what feels guided. You are being spoken to more often than you know. And every time you choose to pay attention, you strengthen that connection. You sharpen your intuition. You clarify your path. This is not about superstition. This is about soul. It's about trusting that you are not alone in your journey, that something greater walks with you, whispers to you, waits for you to notice, and you are noticing. That's the miracle. That's the sign. There's a moment on this path, subtle yet unmistakable, when the signs stop feeling like foreign messages and start feeling like extensions of your own consciousness. You're no longer looking outward for symbols and confirmations. You begin to understand that the world is responding to you, your vibration, your intentions, your internal shifts. The signs haven't changed, you have. You've become someone whose energy speaks fluently with the rhythm of the universe, and that's when things become truly extraordinary. You walk into a space and feel the energy without needing to analyze it. You say something out loud, and then the answer arrives. Through a song, a conversation, a headline, a gust of wind. You think of someone, and they message you. These aren't just coincidences. This is alignment in motion. It's the universe synchronizing with your soul in real time. And it's not magic in the sense of trickery. It's magic in the sense of truth that's too big to put into words. But this deeper phase also demands greater presence. Because the more attuned you become, the more precise the signs get. And sometimes they come in whispers instead of roars. The temptation in these moments is to fall back asleep, to get so used to the connection that you begin to ignore it. But remember, the ability to receive signs is not a guarantee, it's a gift, one that must be nourished with mindfulness and respect. So you must remain open, grounded, curious. You must become someone who not only sees the signs, but acts on them. That's where transformation happens, because signs without action become stagnant. They gather like clouds, full of meaning, but never releasing their rain. But when you move, when you follow the nudge, when you speak the words, when you take the leap, those clouds burst open. Revelation becomes reality. Destiny takes form. And yes, that can be scary. It's easier to stay in the realm of signs and synchronicities without letting them disrupt your life. But real alignment will shake things. It will ask you to leave the safe job, to release the old identity, to say goodbye to what no longer fits. These moments will test your faith, not in something external, but in yourself, in your ability to trust what you're being shown, even if no one else understands. This is why many people see signs but never change, because changing requires courage. It requires the willingness to follow invisible breadcrumbs into unfamiliar places. It requires trust without a roadmap, and not everyone is ready for that. But you are. You wouldn't still be noticing the signs if you weren't. They're still coming because your soul is still listening. And here's something powerful to remember. The signs don't just show up to guide you. They reflect you. They mirror your readiness, your beliefs, your wounds, your wisdom. If you keep seeing repeating numbers, ask yourself, what belief do I need to affirm right now? If you keep dreaming of someone or something, ask, what does my heart want to express? If you keep hearing the same phrase over and over, ask, what truth have I been avoiding? The signs are never random. They are exact, perfect, tailored, customized, and once you realize this, life becomes a sacred dialogue. You stop reacting to life and start relating to it. You stop feeling like a victim of chaos and start recognizing the choreography of divine intelligence. Even in pain, even in confusion, especially there. Sometimes the most powerful signs come during your hardest moments, because when life strips you down, your perception becomes raw, real, uncluttered. You see things with a sharper lens. Your heart becomes a tuning fork for the unseen. And what you find in those moments is not just comfort, it's calling. The signs that come in darkness are often the ones that launch you into light. So don't resent the storms. Don't run from the silence. Don't ignore the tension. Those are all sacred settings for the signs to speak. If you're paying attention, even heartbreak has a voice. Even endings leave a map. Even stillness carries direction. You are never without guidance. It's simply a matter of whether you're willing to feel through the fog. And in that process, you develop something invaluable: spiritual resilience. You stop needing the signs to be loud or constant. You begin to walk with a deeper knowing, even when the surface is quiet. That's when you become the sign. Not in an arrogant way, but in a radiant way. You begin to embody the energy that you once searched for. You carry presence, peace, purpose. You become the message. Others will sense it. They won't be able to explain why they feel safer around you, why they trust you, why they ask for your insight. But you'll know. You'll know it's because you've been paying attention to something higher, and now that energy moves through you. That's what it means to live a sign-led life. It's not about chasing moments. It's about becoming a vessel. And once you become a vessel, you start seeing even more. The signs don't just guide you. They begin to reveal your role in the greater plan. You start to see connections between people. You receive dreams for others. You speak truths that surprise even you. This is spiritual service. It's when the universe begins to work through you, not just for you. But remember, this path isn't about perfection. You will miss signs. You will misunderstand. You will doubt. That's okay. That's human. The universe isn't grading you. It's guiding you. And every time you return to awareness, the connection strengthens. Every time you choose trust over fear, the frequency rises. Every time you pause and listen, something opens. You are not crazy. You are not lost. You are simply awake in a way the world doesn't always recognize. But recognition is not your fuel. Resonance is. You keep going not because others agree, but because your soul vibrates with truth. when the signs speak. That is your compass now. That is your guide. And as you follow it, you'll see something beautiful unfold. A life not driven by control, but by conversation. A journey not powered by force, but by flow. A story not limited by logic, but lifted by meaning. That is the reward of being someone who sees what others miss. That is the path you were made for. By now, something within you has likely awakened to an undeniable truth. The signs are not outside of you. They are an extension of you. They pulse when you pulse. They show up when you're ready. And when you're not ready, they wait patiently, hovering at the edge of your awareness like sacred messengers, never forcing themselves, only inviting. That's what makes this journey so intimate. The signs are not commands. They are whispers, invitations, echoes of your higher self, trying to get your attention. And yet, even when you're willing, especially when you're willing, it can feel lonely. Why? Because to be someone who sees what others don't often means walking paths others won't. You begin to sense things that contradict popular opinion. You're called to places that make no logical sense. You receive clarity about people, decisions, or seasons that everyone around you still misunderstands. And even though deep down, you know you're being guided, part of you aches for someone to walk beside you who gets it. This is the quiet grief of the awakened. Not that you see too little, but that you see too much, and few are ready to meet you there. But that loneliness is also a sign. It's a sign that you've stepped into a different vibration, one that will attract new alignments, deeper connections, soul-anchored friendships. You're no longer operating on the surface. You're navigating from the soul. And that means your circle will change. Your desires will shift. Your priorities will become unrecognizable to your former self. All of that is part of the process. It's not that others are wrong for not seeing. It's that they're walking a different timeline. Their path might take longer to awaken, or perhaps their journey this time isn't about deep perception, but yours is. And that means you've been chosen, not in an arrogant way, but in a purposeful way. You've been given eyes that pierce beyond the physical because your soul has work to do that requires that sight. You are not here to blend in. You are here to tune in. And that tuning is constant because the signs are never static. They evolve as you evolve. What once felt magical becomes normal. What once confused you now feels like second nature. This is growth. This is integration. The universe is always speaking, yes, but more than that, it's always teaching. And if you're noticing signs, it's because you're ready to learn something beyond language. But be careful here. The more fluent you become in this symbolic language, the more discernment you'll need. Because not all signs are meant for action. Some are simply mirrors. Some are meant to pause you, not push you. Some are there to stretch your thinking rather than spark movement. This is where your intuition becomes your compass. No book, guru, or guide can replace that. Because you're not being asked to follow a script. You're being asked to walk with trust. Discernment grows when you stop asking, "What does this mean?" and start asking, "What part of me is drawn to this right now?" Because sometimes, what we interpret as a sign is simply a projection of our own desire or fear. The sign itself is neutral. It's your energy that gives it shape. This is why inner clarity is so important. The cleaner your energy, the clearer the signs. And if you ever feel like the signs have gone silent, don't panic. That too is communication. Sometimes silence is the most powerful sign of all. It's a message that says, pause, anchor, integrate. The universe isn't ignoring you, it's trusting you to walk with what you've already been shown. It's letting you embody the last message before giving you another. This is sacred space. Don't rush through it. Let the stillness cleanse your perception. Let it build trust within you. Because trust is everything on this path. The signs will rarely show you the whole picture. They'll give you pieces, threads, glimmers, just enough to stir your curiosity, stretch your faith, sharpen your senses. It's like a spiritual scavenger hunt. One clue leads to the next. And if you try to jump ahead, you miss the richness that comes from walking it step by step. But here's the paradox. The more you trust, the more precise the signs become. Because you're no longer desperate for proof. You're no longer demanding certainty. You're flowing with a higher rhythm. That's when you start experiencing preparation signs, those nudges that come before something unfolds. You get a knowing days or weeks before the moment arrives. You're being prepared in advance because your soul is ready to move without fear. These kinds of signs are gold. They don't just affirm what's happening now, they alert you to what's coming. And when you receive them, you'll feel a deep peace. Not the kind that says everything will be easy, but the kind that says everything is intentional. You are being led with love, even when it's through fire, and there will be fire. There will be times when the signs lead you into discomfort, into release, into endings, into spaces that don't feel safe. But don't let the intensity fool you. You are not being punished. You are being purified. Because the path of the seer is not always soft. It's sacred. And sacred journeys require transformation. If you feel lost, let that be a sign too. A sign that you're between stories, between versions of yourself, between chapters of your becoming. The signs don't disappear in these spaces. They change shape. They hide in metaphors, in nature, in music, in tears. Don't overlook them just because they don't look like what you're used to. Be willing to see differently. That willingness will keep you aligned. It will keep you open. It will keep you strong. Because in the end, this isn't just about noticing signs. It's about becoming a bridge between the seen and unseen. It's about learning to live as a channel. It's about letting your life become a testament to what happens when a soul dares to listen, follow, and transform. And that is the path you are walking, one step at a time, one sign at a time. So here you are, at the edge of another realization. You've walked through the mystery, the silence, the overwhelming synchronicities, and the solitude that comes with heightened sight. And if you've made it this far, it's because you were meant to. You were never imagining it. You were never too sensitive. You were never just overthinking. You were awakening. You were noticing the hidden patterns others miss, not because you're better, but because you're ready. Ready to see. Ready to listen. Ready to live in alignment with the truth you've always carried within you, but maybe didn't have words for until now. And that truth is this: everything is connected. Nothing is random. And your life, your choices, your emotions, your very presence in this moment are all threads in a much larger web of divine design. The signs you see, they're proof that you are part of something sacred, something intelligent, something ancient and alive and deeply in tune with who you are becoming. But here's what matters now. What will you do with this awareness? Because seeing the signs is not the destination, it's the invitation. You're being asked to live differently, to show up differently, to make decisions not based on fear, but on resonance, not based on what looks logical, but on what feels true. This is where the real journey begins. You were never meant to just collect signs like souvenirs. You were meant to respond to them, to take aligned action, to shift your life into deeper truth. And sometimes that action is bold and visible. Other times, it's quiet and internal. But either way, the response is the bridge between awareness and transformation. Think of all the signs you've received in the past. Think of the ones you ignored, the ones you half listened to, the ones you followed. Trace the path they drew. Trace the shifts they caused. Can you see how they shaped you? Can you feel how much you've grown because of what you dared to honor? Now ask yourself, what signs are showing up right now that you're being called to follow? Maybe it's the repeating numbers. Maybe it's the dreams. Maybe it's a person showing up unexpectedly, a book falling into your hands, a sudden feeling in your chest that won't go away. Maybe it's the urge to leave something behind, or the vision of something that won't leave you alone. Whatever it is, this is your moment to listen, like never before. You don't need a map. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to explain. The sign isn't asking for permission. It's offering you a chance to align. It's saying, you are ready for the next layer. Even if you're afraid. Even if you don't know what it looks like yet. The sign knows before you do. That's the wild, beautiful nature of this dance with the universe. The more you trust the invisible, the more the invisible makes itself seen. This is why your life is becoming more vibrant. Why you're noticing shifts in your energy. Why you're waking up in the middle of the night with clarity. Why you're crying for no reason. Why you're suddenly outgrowing things that once felt essential. You're not breaking down. You're breaking through. You're shifting timelines, stepping out of patterns that no longer match your frequency, releasing roles that were never yours to carry. And with every release, you create space for more signs to arrive. More clarity, more power, more love, more peace. This is why it's you who sees the signs, because you have the courage to change when they arrive. You are the translator of messages others miss. You are the quiet voice that notices the ripple before the wave. You are the spark that lights the fire others are too afraid to kindle. And even if no one around you sees what you see, you keep walking. Because deep down, you know. You know that this is not about being understood by everyone. It's about being true to the vision you've been entrusted with. And that vision is sacred. This is not about becoming a prophet or a mystic or someone who floats above reality. It's about becoming fully present, deeply embodied, unshakably real. Because that's what the signs lead you to. A life that's rooted in purpose and aligned with the flow of something much greater than yourself. And in that life, everything begins to change. Not overnight, not in one big dramatic moment, but slowly, steadily, like the rising sun. You start to see your own life differently. You start to treat every moment as sacred. You realize that every sign was leading you back to the only place you ever needed to be, right here, in this breath, in this choice, in this now. So if you're still asking, why do I keep seeing signs no one else notices? The answer is simple. It's because you are the one who was meant to notice. The signs chose you, just as much as you chose to follow them. They saw your light. They saw your willingness. They saw your quiet strength. And they said, this one is ready. Ready to awaken. Ready to remember. Ready to lead not with noise, but with presence. And so here you are. Not because you stumbled here, but because the path has always been guiding you here. And it will keep guiding you through signs, through silence, through synchronicity, through soul, until your life becomes the very message others are searching for. That is the gift of seeing what others miss. And now that you've seen it, you can never unsee it. You can only choose whether you will keep walking the path that was made for your soul, or turn back toward the comfort of forgetfulness. But something tells me you won't turn back. Not after everything you've come through. Not after everything you've seen. You were made to see. You were made to know. And you were made to follow. Welcome to the next level of your awakening.